Hello class, today we're going to be learning about genetics. Gregor Mendel was a German monk who performed many experiments on pea plants. What he would do is he would take a paintbrush and breed the plants through by using the pollen of one plant and putting it to another. And because he used a paintbrush, he could consistently breed the two same parent plants together. Because of his work in this field, he is sometimes referred to as the father of genetics. An allele is a genetic code that represents a specified trait. So an allele for blue eyes or brown eyes. Genotype is the genetic constitution of an individual organism. So whatever trait you're looking at, an individual's genotype will tell you what alleles they have for that trait. Phenotype is the set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interaction of its genotype with the environment. And so the phenotype is basically just the physical display of a person's genotype or an organism's genotype. A trait can either be dominant or recessive, and an allele that masks the phenotype of another allele at the same locus means that it's a dominant. If the allele that has its phenotype masked by a dominant allele, that makes that one recessive. So dominant is usually indicated by a capital letter, and recessive trait is usually indicated by a lowercase letter. So if you're looking at, say, hair color, and you have the traits for brown hair and blonde hair, and brown say more dominant than blonde, that means that the brown hair is more likely to show up as your phenotype than the blonde would. And so you have either heterozygous or homozygous in your traits. And so a heterozygous means that you're a mix of dominant and recessive, and homozygous means that you have similar dominant or recessive. So heterozygous means a capital letter and a lowercase letter. And that means whatever the dominant trait is, it will appear in the phenotype, but the recessive trait will not appear in the phenotype. However, it's still there in the genotype, so you have to be aware of it, even though it is not being physically displayed. Punnett squares are the reasons why we have to keep types in mind, because they allow us to make predictions about the genotypes of offspring as well as the phenotypes based on their genotype. So, the way we set up Punnett squares is we put a parent on the left-hand side, so that's our heterozygous capital A, that's going vertically. And then we have a parent on the top part, and that's our capital A, lowercase a, heterozygous parent that is lying horizontally up top. The way we fill out Punnett squares is you just put the letters in the box that they would intersect with. So for the first top left square, you have the capital A or dominant trait from or dominant allele from the parent on the left, and then you have a dominant allele from the parent up top. For the top right square, you have a dominant allele from the parent on the left, and a recessive allele from the parent up top. Bottom left is dominant from the parent up top, and then a recessive from the parent on the left, and then bottom right is a recessive trait from parent on the left and a recessive trait from parent on the right. And so, because of this information, we can say, if we were testing back to the hair color thing, if we have brown hair as dominant and blonde hair as recessive, that means that we'd have, if we had an equal mixture, like two parents with brown hair as their phenotype, but they have the blonde hair recessive trait in their genotypes, then the Punnett square would allow us to see the possibilities if those two parents reproduced, the potential genotypes of their offspring, and then we can make the phenotype prediction based on that. So with that, we'd have two dominant browns in the top right, which means that the child would have brown hair. A dominant brown and a recessive blonde, meaning that the child would be have brown hair, but could be a carrier of the blonde hair allele. And same thing with the bottom left, and then bottom right, the child would have blonde hair because it received two recessive traits from its parents. So, thank you guys all for listening. Hopefully this was very informational to you.